Wow. Welcome to another Living Freestyle live stream mess up. I just spent the last hour and 15 minutes streaming nothing. I forgot to turn the switches on, and even though I dropped a whole bunch of amazing stuff, not really, but I accidentally forgot to turn on the stream. So for anybody who was here at 10:15, I apologize. I literally been streaming the whole time and just never clicked the on button and didn't realize it was going. So should I do a recap right now, I guess is the question. We can. I think we can do a recap real quick. Let me do that real quick. Even though I just finished wrapping up the stream, to at least bring everybody up to speed on where we were, and then if you all have questions about where we were, we can go back from there and go from there. Super awesome at this social media thing. Okay, so let's get back into this, and I'm going to do this. All right, a lot has happened since the last time, and I actually had all of this disconnected so you could kind of see the differences in what was going on. But I think what we're going to do is I'm just going to do a quick recap of this. I'm also going to double check now to see if we are actually live. Give me 1 second just to double check. It's funny because I double checked to make sure that we were actually streaming our screen this time, but didn't see that the stream was actually live. I am actually live now. Okay, cool. Good job. All right, so where are we? Here. So the quick recap, because you know, there's just no way to recreate everything that we did, was, remember last time we had our beam cannons, and what was happening was everybody, they were shooting, we were able to shoot each other, everything was working great. Since then, a bunch of stuff has happened. What happened was, what I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to add in some pushback and some stun. Now, what was happening was, when I first did this, I couldn't tell if it was working. And the reason I couldn't tell if it was working was because the other character was also shooting blue weapons. So one of the very first things that I went in and did is I parameterized the beam color. So let me just show you that real quick. Beam. So here's our Niagara system beam, and all I did was add this user beam color, and you'll notice in our colors it now references the user beam color. Well, so with that, then I was able to go into our beam cannon, which stems from user. Let me find out where this was being done. The weapon fire. Beam color, here we go. So what we're doing is in our weapon fire blueprint, this is actually kind of cool. Originally the weapon fire was not getting the instigator. I just plugged the instigator in. It was one of the inputs for this event. Or no, for this blueprint, the instigator here, component. Huh, not sure where it is actually. Anyways, I plugged this in, and then now we have the instigator, and then because we have the team system, I was able to get the team, and then I was able to get the team color from the team, and I set the fallback color to yellow. So if for some reason there wasn't a team, the lasers that the characters will shoot will be yellow. So it's kind of a cool little debug thing. Then I amped the color by about 200 and set the color. So this is now how our Niagara stuff is actually getting the colors based on the team you're on. So that was the first part. The other part that was happening was in the push. So originally, the push and the stun, two different things were happening. Okay, initially what I tried to do was I tried to disable the AI by stopping the logic. You all probably remember this from last time. I tried stopping the logic. I tried, disabling the inputs. And the problem with that was there were a couple problems with that. And actually, I had a whole section up here that was titled the AI way. We're not going to worry about it now, but it was super jarring because, well, two things. One, it was just on or off. The second part of it was it actually broke the heroes, if you recall. Now, there's probably a way around that, but I think I found a better way. And that better way is time dilation. 1 second. Since I'm having to repeat the last hour real quick, hour and a half. So I was like, oh, time dilation. That might be a cool thing. And there were two kind of epiphanies to using the time dilation that are worth mentioning. One is, first off, it works on both enemies and heroes equally. And right now what I am going to do is I'm going to disconnect this just so you can see one quick thing. And so basically all we did was we kick off a time dilation, then we set up a timer by event, and this is we should really rename this to something useful. And then basically what it does is in that timer, it basically gets the current time dilation, bumps it up by 0.1, and so on until we get to a max of 1 and we clamp it out. And then if we are greater than 1, we blow away our timer by handle. So we're not creating all these crazy timer by handle. Now, let me show you what happens when I do this. Dude, so fast. Come on, I can't. Come on, I can't. Alright, there we go. You'll notice that even though I'm hitting him, if I can hit him, he's still shooting. The enemy is still shooting at me while I'm shooting him. So the stun is not being very effective. The other thing you'll notice is as I'm trying to move, I have the time dilations totally working. Right? I'm able to move, but not quite. It feels like I'm in quicksand. That's exactly what I want, and it kind of blends off. So that part of it works really well. Now, the quick recap on what's going on with the enemy, and what's going on with the enemy is basically what happens is his logic is still working at full speed. And so I was looking for a way to slow the enemy's brain down. And what I found was if I simply basically got the controller and threw a similar time dilation on the controller, that would do the same thing. So now you'll notice that if I can hit the enemy, they don't actually shoot. See how he stopped shooting? So he's pretty consistently shooting. So he doesn't shoot when I hit him, if I can hit him. See that? So he stopped shooting. So by throwing in that time dilation onto the actual AI controller, I was able to, right here, I was able to slow down their shooting. And I know this works because I can even take it down to 0. It won't shoot at all as long as I'm hitting, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I believe we had this at 0.1. All right, and then all our timer is it's just bringing it back. So this is going to be blend out time. This is an event. Blend out time dilation. Okay. something a little more useful. Okay, so that was kind of like the first part of everything that we were discussing. The second piece of everything that we were discussing had to do with the push. So originally, I was doing the push back in the weapon, I believe. Or it was in the weapon fire, actually. Yeah, but what happened was I realized that we're going to want to be able to push for more than just the beam cannon. And so what I did is I moved the push into, originally I moved it into this Be Hero Shooter mannequin, but ultimately I believe I decided to move it up to character default. So now we're in character default and we have an event impulse push. And what that does is that takes an impulse normal, registers as a velocity change, and from there, and actually I'll explain this in a second, this wasn't connected till the very end. So this is what's going to cause the push. So if we go back to our enemy and we just pop this on, they're going to be just standing there. When I shoot him with this beam cannon, see how he moves back? Totally moves back. Then, so that worked. That's doing exactly what we wanted it to do, so that we have a means of pushing. That was kind of part of the thing. So once we get all that working, I kind of recapped all that. Then we went through and we took a look at the grenade. So what there was is, if I throw the grenade, you can see how the character slides over now. That was not a thing before. So how do we do that? Same thing. If we go back to our grenade, where's our grenade? Here's our grenade. All right, all we did is in here, in our apply grenade damage effect, well, what we did is we went through, and for each of the characters, we're calculating a vector that is basically from the grenade to the enemy, the person who we're doing damage to, and then we are using that to create an impulse normal, and then we're multiplying that out by some really large number that we're passing into our event impulse push. Now, the other thing that's worth noting here is we have two different branches in here. One is if it was a direct hit, and one is if it's just within a radius. The reason being is when we were having direct hits, and this took us a while to figure out, and there was no us because it was just me live streaming to myself. But anyways, it took me a while to figure out. Basically what was happening was, as a direct hit, the vector from the grenade to the enemy was straight down through the floor. So we weren't getting any push. So what we're doing here is, in the case of a direct hit, we're getting the instigator, which is the person who threw the grenade's position, and we're getting the actor location, and then we're creating the normal based on that. That may not be the best way to do it. It might be, because that means that if I throw a grenade in it, I actually can't direct hit more than one person. I was just thinking if I did direct hit more than one person, everybody would get pushed away, and that may not be what we want. But overall, in the case of a direct hit, we had to calculate our vector a little bit differently. And so that's why we're setting up our impulse normal. And then, like I said, we're normalizing that, and then we're multiplying that out, and we're doing our push. And that's how we got to a point where our grenade, you'll notice, will push him away. And if we do a direct hit, when our grenade comes back, you'll notice that he's pushed way back. All right, so now our grenades actually do pushes, which is cool. And the very last thing that we were looking at doing at the end was applying our stun. And that gets into our Be Hero Shooter our character default. So here we're doing our impulse push, and then this is our disable input timed. Now, let me just double check something here. Find references. Let's find all references. Interesting. So our beam cannon auto is doing this. We don't need to do this if we're going to do that, okay? Because if we're going to disable the input and we're going to do the, hold on a second. This may not be what we want. Oh. Yeah, this is what we want. Event impulse push. What we want to make sure is, so the event impulse push, do we want to actually disable the input timed separately? Because if we call an impulse push, right now we have nested stuff. If we always disable inputs, we may not want to. Yeah, we're gonna keep that separate. Okay, we'll keep that separate. So we're gonna keep that in our, yeah, we're basically gonna keep this. Yes, gaming lover, this is live. Although I'm here live because I literally just spent the last hour and a half streaming to nothing. I forgot to click the button, and even though it said live on one thing, it wasn't actually going out there. And so what I'm doing is I'm recapping what I just streamed for like the last hour, just so that anybody who was kind of following along can catch back up to where we were. But yeah, I'm here. So anyways, we're gonna keep our disable input times separate. And what we want to do with our grenade, if we go back into our grenade, we're gonna add that into our grenade as well. And I'm going to show you all the problem that we were having. And this is sort of where we were ending this stream. It just, in the recap, it only took 20 minutes to recap and re-show and do everything, but when we were actually streaming it live, it took a little bit longer to build it all. So this is as character default. We're gonna do an event impulse push. Now, what I wanna do, actually, this disable input timed, which is happening in here, I think we want to move this up. I think we want to move this up to our character default. So let's do that. Let's go to where this is happening and let's add it in here. Disable input timed. Let's go back to our shooter mannequin. Let's delete it here. We're gonna have to make a couple changes. So we don't need to cast a shooter mannequin here. We should just be able to come straight off character default. Disable input timed. That way everything's in the same place. We'll keep our duration at 1. And then now that we have that, let's go back and see if that's actually working. We got a error. Oh, we don't have this timer handle time dilation in this blueprint. Let's get this in here. It's a timer handle. Uh-oh. Okay, so we need a new variable. Actually, let's delete this one first. Let's go back. Let's add a new variable. Call timer handle. Oh no. Unreal's trying to crash. Timer handle. Cool. Change the variable type. What are you working on tonight, gaming lover? Okay, so did we get that covered? Our timer dilation, everything compiles, it's great. Let's just recheck our beam cannon here real quick. He definitely is getting pushed back, that is true, but we can't tell if they're actually being stunned or not. So let's do that again. But this time we're going to re-enable our behavior tree. Ah. Yep, it looks like it's working. Yep, totally works. Cool. Okay, so now that we have that done, let's come back here. Let's save this. And then let's go back to our weapon. That's fine. And then we were working on the grenade. So the grenade. Cool. We can find where we were working on the grenade just by doing a quick find references. So here's our impulse push. And then from this, we can also do our stun now, which is our disable input timed, which we probably want to rename. And we're probably going to need to rename it to something a little bit more like stun, root, whatever it is when the time comes. We'll have to figure that out probably in our next one. So disable input timed. All right, now here's the tricky part. Okay. Hitting this dude with a grenade is very hard. So let's see what we can do here. Ah, I missed. Alright, so now he's in flight mode. I believe it's working. It's hard to tell. It looks like he does stop. I'm about to die. Trying to hit him without hitting him. Because when I hit him, his damage goes to nothing. Alright, grenade. Nope, I don't think that's working. I don't think we're disabling anything. So are we actually coming in here? Okay, wait. I only want to come in here on a grenade toss, though. 0.1 looping, time dilation. Oh, interesting. That's 0.1. Let's go. So what's going to happen is this thing is going to tick every 0.1 sec. Every 0.1 seconds, this event is going to increase. Let's make this bigger. Let's make this 1. So we can really exacerbate. Okay, you can see the time dilation because it's slowly starting to come out of it, right? But something's going on, and the thing that's going on is the enemy is still able to fire at the same speed. This is something that I was pretty sure we had fixed. And I thought we fixed it by getting the AI controller and setting the time dilation as well. But that does not seem to be the case. So let's try something else. If we shoot them, I don't know that I'm convinced that that's actually working, so we may have to revisit that. Okay, cool. So I believe that mostly gets us up to speed. What I thought was working for our AI controller is clearly not working though. I'm wondering if we're actually getting here. Let's see if we're getting here. Yes, we are. We definitely are. Let's try one other thing. Let's cast this to an H. See if this does it. I don't think this should make a difference, but just in case, we'll try. Oh wait, it does make a difference. Oh, maybe not. No, dude's still firing at the same rate. Even though he's slowed. I don't think this time dilation works the way I thought. Which is good. Well, good and bad, because when I wasn't streaming, but I was streaming, I thought that that was working. It doesn't look like it is. So I think that gets us back up to speed. We got the beam cannon working, we got the stuns working, we got the time dilation working. Everything's cool. The only bit that is not cool at this point is the fact that our enemies are still thinking at the same rate as if they weren't stunned. And so not sure what we can do. I mean, we could pause. Can we pause this? Not paw, like as in, okay. Pause. Unpause timer. Nope. So we can stop the logic. Like this. The problem is if we stop the logic, and you can see this, what's going to end up happening is he's not only is he not going to shoot, he's not going to move. Fix this bug. Wait, I connected the wrong thing. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. So he just stops. Nothing. Right? And he never restarts the logic. And he doesn't restart the logic because I don't actually have a restart down here where I was doing the time dilation stuff. If I reconnect in time dilation, for the AI controller itself, the character will start moving slow, but the character was going to move slow anyways just because the Lyra character is moving slow. And then if we don't reset the time dilation for the AI, let's see if that does it. I don't believe it's going to. Wait a minute, maybe it is. that firing frequency is way less. Interesting. Every 0.1 seconds, we're increasing our time dilation by 0.1. Let's do this. That might actually be working. Let's disconnect these. Just drop this on the end so that when we clear the handle, if it succeeds, we're going to set our custom time dilation back to 1. Let's see. There we go, we're back to normal speed. So either our time dilation is coming back to 1 too fast. Let's change this time. Let's go 1 second between. Again, this time. It's definitely speeding up. That might be working. I think that might be working. The fire rate is way slower. Okay, so there might be some hope in here as far as this goes. I think we'll just keep the fire rate lower here. We might as well scale it back up too. Get that return value. We're going to plug it in here. And we'll plug this in here. We'll do one more test. And then we'll probably call this a wrap. And I'm starting to get faster. I think that's working. I believe that's working. That dude's fire rate is less. Okay, cool. So, with that, let's just come back here though and change this back to something reasonable. We're doing this every 0.1 seconds. Now that this actually is back to working again, we've kind of recapped everything that I just finished thinking I was streaming. We've actually made a couple of changes as well, cleaned up some things. To recap the problem that we were leaving off with last time, what was happening was, you'll notice that this duration, when we disable the input timed, and let's just change this thing. This is a horrible name. Let's call this begin time dilation. No, start time. Stunned. Nope. Time dilation, not dilation. Dilation with countdown. Seems long, but at least it's cool. I mean, at least it's clear. Not cool. Okay, so here's the problem. When we call time dilation with countdown, what's happening is we're passing in a duration. We're expecting this duration to have an impact on how long it takes our characters to get out of the quicksand. But as you'll notice, we're not actually using that right now, because duration is connected to nada. So I think it's and what we'll need to do is we'll need to do some math in basically assuming that, you know, 10, let's see here, every 10th of a second, this ticks by 0.1 and it ticks up by 0.1. So in 1 second, this should be back to normal rate. What we want to do is we need to either change how often this fires by dividing by our input. So for example, if we put in 1 second as the amount of time that this would come back, then our time between for our timer would still be 0.1. If we put in 2 seconds, we want our timer to be half of that, right? So it's going to be the 0.1 divided by whatever it is. So what we would do is we would take this and divide by 0.1. All right, and so if it's no, it's 0.1 divided by this. Let's double check. 0.1. So if the duration is 1, 0.1 divided by 1 is 0.1, right? If the duration is 2, 2 divided by 0.1 is 20. Yeah, that math doesn't work. It's multiply, isn't it? Yes, use multiply. Times 0.1. Okay, so now everywhere we're calling this, let's just double check. And we can double check this. Keep saying we're gonna finish, but I keep doing more, huh? Okay, so let's, everywhere we call this time dilation with countdown. Right now we're in the grenade. Our duration is 1. Let's set this to 3. And then in our beam cannons, where is that? Beam cannon fire. Weapon fire. Where was that? Find the references. Character default. Find references. Beam cannon auto. I have no idea why this wasn't showing up. That's wild. Oh well. Okay, so what we should notice is we should notice a difference when we hit a character with a grenade versus a character. It should take them 3 seconds to come out versus 1. So, I mean, with the beam cannon. So let's just double check. Beam cannon. Wait, went that way. 1,000. 1,000. Pretty much back. Nah, I missed. Oh, come on. Missed again. 1,000. 2 1,000. I didn't see any slowdown there. So is our grenade not doing that? Where's our grenade? Maybe we didn't add that in. Character default. Find references. Grenade. We are. Right there. Three seconds times 1 is, that should be 0.3. So every 0.3 seconds that will tick up once. So it will take, try 10. Let's just make it extreme. So that's gonna tick every second. So it should take 10 seconds to get back to full speed if I can hit this dude with a grenade. Come on. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 4, 5. Okay. I guess what's happening though is our time, we don't have any sense of ease in. Like that is clearly longer than this. Now, we may have another problem here too. The other problem we may be having is what happens when we have two things that are causing time dilation. Looks fine. Oh, got me. Holy smoke. Oh, grenade hit me. Oh, well, you can tell just by that. If the grenade hits me, it also slows me down. I'm not convinced that the fire speed is changing. I'm having a hard time seeing that. Alright, he's not shooting now because he's in flight mode. Alright, I think we made a bunch of progress tonight. I had to do a complete recap of everything we were doing. Because in my newest form of blunder, I accidentally forgot to click the turn on the streams button. So, let's go ahead and wrap this up because it's a little bit later than I had planned on. So again, for anybody who's watching this after the fact, was expecting us to be here at 10:15. My fault. We do this twice a week, usually Sunday nights at 10:15 Pacific time, Wednesday mornings at 8. So we will be back Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock. Starting Wednesday morning, there's a couple things that I want to take a look at. It looks like our stuns and all those things are working. It might be worthwhile for us to at some point establish more of a better framework for the difference between a stun, a root, and so on. The other thing that we're going to be continuing on is, remember the whole reason we started this was we were working on trying to get to be able to create a different kind of grenade. So we already created a different kind of weapon. We want to create a different kind of grenade. So we're probably going to start working on the frost grenade now that we have everything like kind of in place. And part of that is going to be that difference between a stun and an actual root, or a kind of like a slow and a root. So we're going to be working on that. That's also going to require us to take a look at a couple other things. One, how our materials set up in Lyra, because we're going to want to be able to layer in or either swap out materials. So that's another big thing that we're going to be mapping out. And then the big one is going to be the inventory system. So from what I can tell, weapons slot and work with the inventory system just the way we would expect. Grenades seem to be a little bit different. So I'm curious how we might be able to pick up different types of grenades, and if we can find the hooks to do that. And what we'll end up doing is we'll be able to create kind of a Miro flow diagram of how the inventory system works, because I'm seeing a bunch of things in there like fragments and stuff like that I'm not used to seeing. Anyways, so that wraps up tonight. Gaming lover, thanks for hopping in. And for all of those that had any questions, because you missed the actual live part of this stuff, just throw those in the comments. Questions always comes first. We'll check those out in our Wednesday stream. And if we don't have any questions, as always, we'll just hop right back into creating frost grenades. So I hope everybody has an awesome start to your week, and I will catch you all on the next one.